Scottish lady who also was a vaudeville dancer. So she sort of taught me how to perform, really. So it's all about performing and being versatile as well. So we did everything from tap, jazz, ballet, Highland, Irish, all that sort of stuff. So and then I went into full on ballet, and I had a fantastic teacher here in Bundaberg, but I also used to teach at Rockhampton. There was a very famous in Rockhampton that was got amazing results from ballet, and so I'd go there every second weekend and stay 3 or 4 days and then come back again. And so I was accepted into the Australian Ballet School, but at the age of 16 I was, and turning 17, I was actually had worked with the Queensland Ballet Company while they were on tour. They'd come in and they had a dancer that was sick, and I actually stepped in, and they offered me a contract, a junior contract, to start with the company. So I was very lucky to sort of get straight into the company without doing probably 3 or 4 years at the Australian Ballet School. And so I was just lucky that I was a very good all rounder, and that's so important too, that you have to actually keep your hand in everything, because ballet, unfortunately, by the time you get to sort of 30, it's not looking good. So it's
Yeah.
good to have a bow.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really important information, guys. And I think something that we have said to most of you guys who are dancers, by the time you get to 30, what is next? You focused on ballet. And sadly, I think you can attest to this too, Trev, is that when you are doing ballet, and if that is the path you want to take, you have to commit to it 100%, don't you?
Absolutely. And it's very fickle, one injury, and or someone prettier comes along, you lose your job. And so it's pretty cutthroat, especially these days. It's very different to when I was there. But um basically, they want someone that looks a certain way, and tall, blonde and leggy, where in our day it was a little bit more. You had your especially even the Australian Ballet, Kathleen Gorhams, and your Lucette Alders and stuff. They were little tiny pocket rockets, but they had amazing careers because they were great performers. But it doesn't always work like that these days. They want beautiful technicians, not necessarily artistry.
Yeah,
Mm.
incredible. Yeah. We, obviously here in the Artist Lab, as I mentioned to you before, Trev, we focus very much on instilling in all of our clients and all of our clients within the education part of the Artist Lab how important it is to be multidisciplinary. And if you kind of touch base on that just now, talking about having, done an extensive career in dance, how did you know that you could sing? Like by the time you'd finished the Sydney Dance Company and you're going into Lacage, that's not an easy role. Like which role did you perform in Lacage?
I did low sing, which was
Oh,
a
let's
little
think.
low sing because my beautiful Asian eyes, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, I was actually a swing as well. Um, and so that was really hard. I probably learned 10, 15 roles as well. So that
Incredible.
was really, I mean, that's people always say, oh, just a swing, but actually, is actually the hardest role, because usually it's, you have to actually know everybody's.
Absolutely. Look, in reality, for those of you who don't really know about swinging, swinging is a certain type of person, and that's something that the team generally pick up in a room. A certain type of person can only do that kind of thing. We've got some of our clients in the Artist Lab who are definitely swing material, who are just on it. They have to be organized, and it's a big part of that. But it's a big responsibility, and you are obviously paid for that. Because it is such a big responsibility. For those of you who don't know Lacage, I mean, these girls, these guys dressed as girls, wearing heels and massive costumes, like the whole show. I mean, I remember you telling me a story, Trev. You were climbing into the roof and having to climb down or something, during that time.
Well, actually, yeah, it was called. It was one of the numbers, and we were in tail suits, and we actually had to climb a rope ladder in high heels, then get up into the grid, walk on a little, probably a little beam that was maybe 3 or 4 inches wide in the high heels, lower ourselves onto a fire, um, drop, like a fire pole, and then drop out of the ceiling in time with the music. I mean, you'd never be able to get away with it these days, because there was really there's nothing. So it was actually quite funny. Mm.
Incredible, incredible. So what I thought we would do, guys and girls, and we thought we would just, have a chat about Cats, the musical as well. This is obviously a big part of, Trevor's career. He was in the original Australian cast. And as I mentioned a little bit on Instagram just before, we were very lucky actually, because Trevor just told me that during the audition process, before the auditions happened, Trevor Nunn, did Jilly come out too?
Yep, yep, they're
So
all there.
Gillian Lynn, who was the original choreographer, they all came out to Australia and did a workshop to help people audition for the show. So
Mhm.
you guys are going to get some really hands-on experience actually with this little bit of information here, because that is something that just does not happen anymore. And sadly, I was very lucky to work with Julie, one of the last casts in Phantom in London, to work with her, but she's no longer with us. So Chrissy Cartwright's taken over that role for her now.
Mhm.
But we're going to hear firsthand from Trevor about his experience. So, Trevor, before we go into the questions that we've got here, because each of these artists that we have here with us today have a couple of questions for you. Tell us a little bit about the audition process for Cats. How important is it to be working on your voice as a singer in the show, and maybe a little bit more specificity on how important it is for the dance specific roles and the more singer roles in Cats. Like what kind of audition material and stuff can they be considering for it? So I'll leave that
Mhm.
with
Well, it was actually a very interesting process because they um, they basically focused on people. Well, what I got from the audition is that everyone that's there could dance or sing or not so good dance at all. But a lot of it had to do with actually how you reacted with each other. And so I'll give you a great example. There was an amazing girl, and she could sing, she could dance, she was just phenomenal, great body, the whole lot. Anyhow, so we went through this whole process of we learned certain sections of the ball. We had to sing songs with each other, la la la. Anyhow, then but then it came to the last couple of days where we had to basically show them what we'd learned. So this girl decided that she would arrive with cat tail and ears and paint some whiskers on herself. Well, as she walked into the room, they escorted her out. Even though she's probably the best dancer there and a great singer, they were just aware, well, what, and they said to us, well, if she's doing that now, imagine what she's actually going to do to the choreo and the singing in the show. We just wanted her to learn exactly what we wanted them to learn and do exactly what we want them to do, nothing more, nothing less. So sometimes if we try too hard, I think in an audition, you actually just have to listen to what they want and deliver what they want. If they want a single turn, you do a single turn. No, she's showing off and doing 5 turns. If they just want to know whether you actually are willing to learn and follow instructions, and then they know they can work with you. There was a very famous choreographer in Australia, Ross Coleman, and his audition was always, when you come in, can you just go to the corner and just walk from the corner to the other corner for me? And then he would eliminate half the people just from walking. And he'd say, because everyone do extra hip bumps and a little head swing and a whole as they walk down, he goes, and he used to say, if you're doing that to a walk, imagine what you're going to do to the choreo. So all I want you to do is walk. So really important that you just do what they want you to do and no more. You know?
really. That's really great info. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And be also too with there was some weird stuff that happened because I was Skimbleshanks and but they would make me, this sounds really weird, but they actually sent me to the railway station, which wasn't, because we did the audition section was in actually Ross Coleman Studios in, I think it was Pitt Street, but they made us walk down to the train station and sit there and observe. Um, and at the time, you're sort of going, oh, sounds a bit weird, but they were just wanting us to basically concentrate on and use that experience of, because a lot of it in the audition was, even though things are set, the choreo is set, um, the songs are set, how you interpret some of the stuff and how feline you are becomes part of how you interpret the character yourself. So they sent us there to see, what are you doing, and you're sitting and thinking, is it quiet, is it busy, is it, so, and you could use those things like, when the cats are around people, they get a bit skitty and stuff like that, so you could use that when you're at the station, go, oh yeah, well, there's a lot of traffic and a lot of people and there's yelling and there's trains and all that sort of stuff. So those were the sort of things that they asked us to do, and then come back and then say, okay, then they'd give us a scenario. Now you're Skimble, what would you do in this situation? So it was a little bit of acting skills as well. But having said that, I pretty much know too, because when they did different versions along the way, a lot of that process was actually cut out. They would just go straight into the choreo, learn the song. So often when I saw the show afterwards, you'd see that there was something missing, and I think it was that they didn't actually go into the detail like they did before. So yeah, I think it's really important. You have to have a study, know the poems, know what they're about. Not that it's a lot. Sometimes you don't even know what this is, but at least have a knowledge of what they are, and what they actually mean. And they will do that when in the audition. When the heavy side layer and all those sort of things, they will tell you what all that means, and when you know what it means, it actually makes sense. Yeah. So the story is just basically do some research first, and look, they're not looking for always looking for the best dancers or the best singers. They just want to. It's more about character cats. That each cat has a character, and they want whether they're tumblers or old or and Skimble was pretty. That had a more dance background. And so Mistopheles, they want classical dancers for that. But yeah, so there's a bit of everything. There's a lot. There were some strong dancers. There was some strong singers, but it was pretty bit much a mix in the whole cast as well.
That's great to hear. And I think that's one thing too, everyone in the studio anyway, that we haven't really focused on, I suppose, is that, in Cats, it is probably the most character work you will ever do, really like, coming into the movement of each of those kind of cat movements and stuff like that. We've been so focused on voice and dance, but the reality is, isn't it, that you are actually there to be a cat. So yes, that's great advice. Trev, one thing that I wanted to ask you too, and we meant to listen a bit more to before about it, but when did you know you could sing, and when did you know that you needed to work on that discipline to be able to be successful?
Well, I've always sung, because, as I said, my very first dance teacher, Jessie Harper, she was on vaudeville, and so from a very young age, I just like on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday, she'd waltz me out to the local football club, and we'd put on a show pretty much every Saturday or Sunday, and we learned all different songs, all the Hey Look Me Over and Man on the all these songs. So I'd learn a couple of songs every week, and then I'd perform it. So really, from the age probably about 6, I would sing and dance all the time. I don't consider myself the most amazing singer, but I can certainly I know I'm keeping tune. That's good, and I've got a pretty strong voice. But I think because I focus more on the dance, I think I'm a stronger dancer than a singer. Although you know, going back to what we said before, some of the best roles I've had and done were from roles that weren't given to me. But in rehearsals, I would, rather than going having a coffee when someone else was rehearsing, I would stay in the studio and learn what they're doing as well. And when there was an injury or someone didn't know, I could go, "Oh, I know that. if you need someone." And that's how I got so many things, especially in the dance company and even in the cars, because I would learn everyone's role. And when someone got sick, I could step in, and I was confident enough that I could pull it off. So my advice to people is that just be a sponge. Do learn as much. You might not ever get to do it, but just watch and learn and pick it up yourself. I mean, obviously you're not going to start dancing around in the studio if you're not really an understudy, but you can always ask the directors and stuff like that. So, do you mind if I sit, and because I really hungry to learn, and I'd like to have an opportunity to watch or maybe get up and do it as well. And they'll either say yes or no. But that's what I did. I just asked them and said, "Well, do you mind if I hang around the back and learn the choreo or learn the thing?" And they go, "No, great, go for it." So that was good. And that's I think it's a lot of people don't do that anymore. They just sort of if it's not their rehearsal, they'll then try to get out of the rehearsal as fast as they can.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing too. These days, I was just speaking to Simone, the other half of the Artist Lab, and she just came back from doing Love Never Dies in Japan. Anyway, everybody finished their rehearsal at 5 p.m. and all of the people from the ensemble went and got a seat and sat down, when they were watching the Phantom and the Christine's role, because they were all sitting there looking and learning after their rehearsal had finished. And I think that's really important, that you're right, that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen anymore, and it should.
Yeah, absolutely.
You never stop learning. I'm very proud to say, I've got a lot of lovely friends, in the industry, Michael Cormick and, Marina and Sylvie, and, never in one moment of my life do I sit there and think that I know more than these people who have got these kind of reputations and careers like they do. You are always there to learn. And even though Michael is such a great friend, and we go out and everything together, the moment he starts talking about the industry and stuff, I listen, because we will always learn from the people who have done it before us. And I think you're very lucky to get into a musical and into that room and to be employed. You should be taking it every minute of that in, guys. I think that's really important info.
I think I think too. When I was with the ballet company, because you know, leading a Leslie for lunch didn't take long. I used to go downstairs and into the wardrobe, and I'd watch them, cutting patterns, sewing things, and I'd ask them things, and sometimes they'd let me join in. And so I learned from there, how to make tutus and leotards and all that sort of stuff. And so when I actually retired, when I stopped dancing, I actually went into manufacturing costumes because I had the knowledge of how to cut a pattern, how to do all the things, and the same in the cars. When the wiggies and stuff, I'd go, well, how do you do that? And just watch, not always hands on, but you just observe them, and you can learn so much. Not just expect that the wig's going to turn up on your dressing room. And that's it, and then they love it too because they can see that you appreciate what they're doing for you as well, not just taking the costume and dropping it on the floor at the end of the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Guys, just so you put into perspective where I met Trevor. So at university and in Central Queensland, we did Little Shop of Horrors, and Trevor was our director. And the first time I kind of ever met Trevor was because he was in the little sewing room without a pattern, just cutting like this with scissors and putting it through a sewing machine and making size 6 and 8 like little dresses for the girls, the ensemble girls. It was incredible. That's a great skill to take away with you, isn't it? Like,
Absolutely.
you're a performer, you're a ballet dancer, you're a singer, but you've gone and learned, to make costumes, and you did all the wigs for that show as well. It's brilliant. And I think, on that discussion too about always having more than one plan A, he was a dancer, he retired from that, went into costumes and wigs, that is a brilliant career and a brilliant trajectory for a performer, that staying in the business and dabbling in choreography and doing directing as well after, your career's, finished. It's wonderful,
Mm.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I thought we would start doing some questions now.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some people to unmute themselves, and we can ask like 1 or 2 questions if that's okay. So you can definitely use the hand up button here on if you would like. But if it's okay, we'll start with Cassidy. Just tell if we can all introduce ourselves and just say where we're from, that would be great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Cassidy from Rockhampton. I don't know if Mr. Green remembers me.
I do remember you very well. Very
It's like nearly been 10 years since I've seen you. So, but
Yes.
nice to see you again.
You too.
One of the questions that I have, just for you growing up, like doing way more ballet and more dance, did you ever have moments where you kind of doubted yourself in the theatre space? And like, if so, what would you recommend for moments like that?
Um, so no, I think I mean you coming from Rockhampton too, and I know your history. You know, you did a lot of the Stedfords and stuff, and I don't always like a Stedfords some for every time, but it is a great tool to perform. And as long as you take it, I always say to kids doing the step is it's not about the winning; it's about entertaining the audience. If you come away and you feel okay that you've entertained the audience, that's fine. Um, and to be honest with you, in musical theatre, um, you're never really going to ask to do a full on ballet. It's not never going to be a Swan Lake thing. Even Cats, like everyone always says, oh, it's a really hard show to dance. There is some hard things in it, in a small thing within the ball and all that sort of stuff. But the rest of it is I'm not going to say basic, but it's doable because you have to do it 8 shows a week. So they're not going to give you choreography that's going to, even though, I mean, there was a lot of injuries in Cats, but that's for a different reason. But they're never going to ask you to do a full-on ballet. So I think as long as you've got a basic understanding of it, and a ballet is really fickle. If you're tapping, you can put your tap shoes on and off you go, and you bash out a routine, or same with a bit of a jazz. But ballet, if you haven't done it for even for a couple of all of a sudden there's nothing there. There's no back, there's no jump, so it's one of those things, unfortunately, where you have to actually maintain it if you want to take on the ballet side of it. But the show itself is based on ballet technique, even though it's not ballet, but yeah, a lot of it has to do with line, and yeah, so I think it's just as long as you touch on everything and just maintain. And unfortunately, I do see that people when they're not in work, they can't afford to go to classes, and then when they are in work, they don't want to go to classes because they're too tired. So it's very you just have to force yourself to make sure that you keep your and it's same with singing classes. Like because you're singing a show every week, it doesn't mean that you stop your lessons. You have to keep maintaining that voice because you don't know what's going to come around the corner, and you're going to need some more technique to get the next role. So don't sort of just relax into the roles. Just you've got to keep on striving to do more.
That's right. That's such great advice, guys. I think we've established that with all of you, to be committed to your lessons times, with singing and dance. I hate Trevor going to class, and I never put it on socials too because going to dance classes I find it so embarrassing for myself. But I'll go all the time here, every 2 weeks at least, and do one bar and a tap class at Pineapple here in London. And you have to, for your body, you have to know how to feel your body, even if you aren't a dancer, per se. You need to know how to move and walk, like you said.
Yeah.
On stage, and not look frumpy, walk in a way that is, convincing. So that's really good advice. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, Cass. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Maddie McCartney.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi, my name's Maddie. I'm from Sydney. I actually wanted to touch base on something that you said at the start of this was talking about how in an audition room just to follow instructions and for what the panel want and for what they're asking for on their behalf. Within saying that, I think that's probably also like a mainstream question for all performers is like, how do you allow yourself to stand out in a room with people who, you know, not everyone can take instructions, I guess, but like, how do you show yourself personally in a room for a panel besides the character work, like through the dancing and through singing, kind of taking your whole personality through that in maintaining instructions?
Well, interestingly enough, that's a really good question. But something that I learned because I actually have been on a few panels, for auditioning in shows and stuff like that. the actual audition starts when you arrive.
Yep.
Because all those people outside that are taking your name and they actually are observing you from the time that you walk in.
Yeah.
So, and it was really a surprise to me because, so when someone would come in there and they would, someone would go, "Oh, what do you think?" And then that person comes and say, "Oh my God, she was a real cow outside. She was so rude to everybody. She thought she was a bit all that and a bit more. She's going to be a nightmare to work with." So the actual audition starts as you walk in. But I think the main thing is that you just have to have confidence because people that are there looking auditioning, they know exactly what they want and they'll be able to see that in you as well. So like if I see a dancer, I know from their line, from the extensions, from the way they move, how they're going to be, and unfortunately, sometimes no matter how wonderful you are, you just don't fit what they want, but as long as you are true and you just do what they want to do, as I said, they're trained and they know exactly who's in front of them and what they're capable of. It's and I think that the other thing is too, you have to be honest. Like, people say, in audition, "Oh, can you tap?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I can tap." There's tap and there's tap. If you're not really a tapper, just say, "Look, I've done some tap classes and I'm working on it, but I'm not a fantastic tapper, but I'm okay, But if you
Yeah.
say that you're amazing, and then they rattle off, step shuffle, ball change, head spring on, whatever, and you look at them and go, "Oh, don't know what that is," then that's bad as well, So, and yeah, I think, and look, it's being prepared. How you're looking. If you walk in a big baggy pair of pants or the big t-shirt on, it's saying I'm hiding something, you know.
Would you
So
say carrying that, like, because I come from definitely a dancer background, but I've obviously recently learned singing like over the past year and a bit, and taking that same attitude with dance and confidence into the singing portion of it. I know if you came from ballet first, would you kind of switch into a different mindset or take on any different traits to kind of take you through the singing part as well?
to be honest with you, the most frightening thing I've had to ever do is sing in front
Yeah.
of because as from a dancer, I mean, I've always sung and I would get up and sing in front of 1,000 people if you let me. But sitting in front of even two or three people in front of you is the hardest thing you have to do. My only advice is that you have to be prepared. Know the song back to front, feel confident, you know, get people, sing it in front of people, your parents, your grandma, the next door neighbor, whatever. Just do as many times as you can. Just go and perform it. So when you walk in, you're going to go, "I know I can nail this," and you can do it. So it is a mindset. But the amount of times that I've seen that, someone rocks up and for the audition and they hand their music across and they go, "Actually, I'd like that in a semitone lower, please. And then I'm going to start from here, and then I'm going to go back to there, and then back to here." And it's like the poor companies is like, "What the hell?" But if you're going to have change, if you're going to do it, spend the money and get the music done properly. Don't take a half bake, because it just looks like you're really unprepared. And look, Paul, you would agree with me. The amount of time people go, "Oh my God, there's an audition for Cats tomorrow, and I haven't got a song tomorrow." Really? You've known for about 6 weeks and you haven't learned a song yet?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And dancers are the worst.
Yeah. Look, we're really here in the other side. We really instill a different attitude there. You haven't met Simone yet, Trevor, but Simone is very much of your ilk.
Yeah.
Sydney Dance Company, trained at the ballet studios. Yeah. You know Simone, do you?
Yeah. We have met.
Oh, cool. So, I mean, she's about the baggy clothes and stuff too. Every time we do one of our workshops, like we're doing a Fosse intensive in April, there is a specific requirement there that girls and boys are wearing, fitted clothes, hair back, LaDuca, making sure that we are of a certain standard, because we try to instill that in each of us, that old school kind of, ethic for the theatre.
And it's also discipline, knowing, a bit of makeup, the hair done properly, and in a bun that actually doesn't fall out when you do one turn, like all those things. People notice all that, they can say, oh well, she's well trained, she's disciplined, she's old school, and they love that.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Mads. That's lovely.
Thank you.
James.
Hello.
He's just unmuting himself now.
Unmute. So sorry. I'm so dumb at all of this. Hello, I'm James.
Hi, James.
I'm from Sydney. My question to you is, doing 8 shows a week, how did you repair your body after all of that? How did you give your body some TLC?
Well, to be honest
To
with you,
prevent to prevent injury.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to be really honest with you, and I hope no one's listening that shouldn't be listening. What I found very frustrating in cats is that I'd actually come from a dance background, and I would do ballet class every day. Now, being a dance show, you would think that they would have classes every day and maintain it. They didn't do that. In fact, we used to do sometimes when we were in Adelaide, we'd go downstairs and do a little bar and stuff like that. And actually got the shits with us because the ballet mistress at the time, she was pregnant, so they didn't actually have any classes. But we had like 10 people up with injuries because we weren't actually warming up properly. So it's really important. So you actually have to take responsibility yourself. And I don't know what the stage is like now, but I know the production that we did, it was actually on a raked floor as well. So dancing on a raked floor, and it's very, very hard on the body as well. And there was lots of contraptions in the set. I know I fell down they used to have this in one of the Mistopheles. They used to shoot this big cup out of the middle of the floor, but anyhow, when it went out the trapdoor didn't actually shut, and in the dark you can't see anything. So I ended up with my leg down the hole, and didn't hurt myself too badly. But yes, but the main thing is you have to take responsibility for yourself. It's eating correctly, it's sleeping correctly. It's very easy when you're in these shows because everyone wants you to go out and party. And, let's go for a drink, let's go. But you have to go, no, I'm actually doing a show tomorrow. I need to look after myself. And people used to think, and I'm not a drinker anyhow, so people used to think I was a bit of a Betty Two Shoes because, I would just go home and eat properly and have lots of sleep. But, in my whole career, I never had an injury because I would work on it. And when you did start feeling injury, get onto it straight away, get massage, go to chiropractor, whatever you need to do to do it. But it's you really, looking after yourself is the main thing, and and I think diet is the biggest thing, especially when and look, it's a little bit better now because now they start to teach you about cross training and diet and all that sort of stuff as part of your training. But in our day, it didn't. It was like, I want to be skinny, I just won't eat today. And that's not a healthy way as well. But it's really important that you look after yourself and others. If you see someone struggling, just it's good to reach out and say you're okay. Because that can help you as well, and you learn from that as well.
That's lovely. That's really good advice. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, James. That's great.
All good.
All right, Meredith, would you like to ask a question, love?
How are we going there? You can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Meredith. I'm from Perth, but I'm based in Melbourne now. My questions are really similar that I had prepared to what's already been asked. So I'm going to be a little bit cheeky and ask if there are any specific sections of choreo or certain steps that we should familiarize ourselves with before heading into that initial dance call, like how you would read the poems to get the actor side up and have your song ready. Is there sort of any extra tidbits we can do for that?
Well, it could be different, but they always do the ball section. the first part of the ball. Dee, da, 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 da. Are you a ballet dancer? Yes.
Yes.
Get your développé ready. If
Uh-huh.
you're the white cat, if you've got a high Alicicon, they love it. Because that's what they're looking for, someone with a really pure ballet technique. And I'm not being horrible, but I've seen versions of it where the girls have a beautiful Alicicon développé, but they can't do anything else. Came to the other choreo, they were like, because I was so Betty ballet head, they were like, it looked bad. Well, not bad, but they've struggled with the choreo because all of a sudden they have to be, a little bit not sexy is not the right word, but but loose and wild, and they didn't have that in their body. But if you are a dancer, just get that Alicicon développé. That's what they will do that in the audition if they want you to audition for that role. But again, it's as I said, the choreo is intricate, but the ball section, look, and you can get it on video now. Just have a look at it and just learn different seconds of it. But it's but normally it's when we were doing it, we all learned the ball section because that's something that we all do together. Also the tapping section, it's the crockart section. It's not tricky, but familiarize yourself with that. Are you a tapper as well or not?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, so just have a look at it. If you can whack it out, that's good. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you.
Especially if you're ballet, développé.
Yeah, get that leg up. Thank you.
And wear something really tight-fitting. They love it. Mm.
That's great. Trevor, I've got a question for you, just adding on to this. How, and I know I kind of know the answer to this, but how important do you think for a singer is to just go and do a bar class? Like how important do you think that is?
Oh, so important. Because it depends. I mean, if they go to a good person, but I mean, I suppose it's different. Bar is so important because again, you're just learning the terminology. You're learning to do, if you're going to different bar every day, to learn different steps every day in different combinations. Even though, I mean, a plie is a plie, but there can be 1,000 million versions of it. So again, it's just training your body to take instruction. And it's also, if you can't get to a bar, especially these days, it's really amazing, is Pilates really strong as well, because that's based on a ballet technique as well. So, but also, as you know, your core strength is your most important thing, So if you can get core strength as well through the ballet bars or through Pilates or through dance, it's so important. And also it's learning, if you're doing port de bras and stuff like that, you're learning, as I said, often you've done it as well, often in roles, it's not amazing dancing as long as you can move and your body and in the right way. They love that,
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think, if I may, at university, Trevor knows that I did not pass a single dance class in my whole time there. I passed some tap classes, mostly. That's definitely my forte. But what was that?
You had a good teacher.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really the majority of my dance that I've ever done in my whole life. And it was only a year after that I got, accepted into Love Never Dies, and I was choreographed by Graham Murphy, from Sydney Dance, and Janet Vernon. These were, that audition was extremely difficult. I was not a dancer. I still don't class myself as a dancer. I definitely am a mover. But, going into that audition, I remember they made me run around the room and holding everybody by the hips. So we're in one big group and they just made us run. That's all that the audition was that first time. I walked outside, went and had a little vomit in the toilet, came back and did it again. And, for someone that wasn't a dancer, I always think to myself, I'm so glad that I put myself through those 3 years of doing ballet. I remember my Judith Brown, who was the head of university at that time, I was doing double pirouettes in one exam, did one pirouette, fell over. Did one pirouette, fell over. Did one pirouette, fell over. They were pissing themselves laughing. But I'm so glad that I kind of did that, because I would never have survived otherwise to go into that room and do that kind of technical stuff that they were asking me to know, to do a développé, to know, when to do the corner work that they were asking. I wasn't great at it, but I knew how to move my body. And I think that's important for everybody.
But also in that audition, because I've worked with Graham and Jen a lot, obviously, when you actually looked at the company, a lot of the dancers in the company, not necessarily the girls, but a lot of the boys, weren't strong classical dancers or dancers at all. But his artistry is that he can take somebody and make them look amazing, because even if they have no dance training, I've seen it, where they've used people that have nothing. And then we'll look at Torval and Dean. He took on Torval and Dean when I was there, and it was ice skating and he created some amazing stuff on them. It does have a bit of a dance sort of feel, but the artistry is, in like with you, they can see potential, then they make you look the best that you can be, and that's a real gift, because you don't always get that, but some companies do. But if they can work with you and make you look the best you can be, that's the best of both worlds. And
I think Jilly was kind of like that, though, like Jilly and Lindy, like in Phantom, I remember her, not everyone, obviously in Phantom, the mostly singers, so working in a way that makes your body look good, I think is important. That she did that as well. So really that is
making pictures and, moving one to the other, it's easy,
yeah,
as transitions.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you for that, Mary. That's lovely, doll. All right, so let's we've got a time for a couple more. Brooke.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, darling.
Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm from Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of more a cats related question.
Mm-hmm.
With I'm like a real cats fan, so like I notice everything about cats. I notice that they always have like the specific hand movements and like the arm movements. How long, I guess, did it take to like have that come naturally when performing, like in all different parts of the show?
Yeah, that's actually instilled from day one, and again, there's something you can do yourself, especially if you've been watching the videos and stuff like that. But don't arrive in the room if you're auditioning never having tried to be a cat, because like, otherwise it's going to be, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? But if you've actually, in your bedroom or wherever you are in your house, just do some stuff, or if you've got a cat, just observe it, and what it's doing. Because a lot of that's not set in concrete. They'd say you move your hand here or do that. It's like they give you a thing, so, okay, you're a grumpy old cat, what are you going to do? Like, I'm just going to crawl to the corner and lie down and fall asleep, and but I'm going to say, when I saw a production that came through, I think it was the one in the tent, like, again, it was done, I know that it was done within a couple of weeks. They had a couple of weeks rehearsal and was on, but I saw things like, which they thought was funny, but for me it wasn't funny. But I remember two cats using their tails as telephones and pretending to call each other on the phone in the show. Like, so one's on his phone, la, 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 on the tail, and the other one's. And it's like, the cat wouldn't do that, And I know that Trevor and I would have had a conniption, because they wanted it to be the most believable that you can make it, not sending it up. If that makes sense, so yeah, just try to observe as much as you can from cats. How they move, how they stretch, yeah, and because they're open to that. They're not, as I said, they're not exactly set in stone. What you have to do, and they do let you explore a little bit. Not necessarily with the choreo. You've got to do the choreo exactly the way it is, but how you interpret, sometimes they'll give you a bit of a free rein. Each cat. Yeah. So and how you react with other cats as well, whether you shoot at them or if you don't like them. It was quite fun sometimes when you didn't like someone. You didn't have to say much, you just had a hiss as you went past.
That's brilliant. I
Hiss
love
on
your,
them.
I love your little hat at the back there too, Brookie. That's awesome. So good. So good. Thank you, darling. That's lovely.
Thank you.
I've just got a message here. Trev, this is a little bit offside from the cats thing, but what is a mistake that you made or an interesting experience that you learned from that helped you grow as a performer?
That's a really good question. A mistake I made. Probably the biggest mistake is not being prepared or not maintaining what I should have been maintaining. And that goes back to, looking after yourself and stuff. Because I remember when we were doing cats, we, oh no, it wasn't cats, it was Lacage. Lacage was a lovely show and it was good to do, but I actually didn't do classes during that because, it was a great show and, mainly tappy, bit of girly cabaret sort of stuff, but we didn't really need a technique. So of course, when that show finished, and then I was going to go back and try to get back and into classical and stuff, I just didn't have the technique. And then that really woke me up. It's like, okay, you have to keep yourself. If that's what you want to do, you have to maintain yourself because you never know what's going to be around the corner, and so it is hard to manage because you are going to be tired. But if you can't take an hour out of your day and just go and do a class somewhere, even if it's your own class, but that's probably the big mistake is thinking that, because you're in a show, you don't have to do class because you're already performing. Actually, I just ran into someone who just yesterday, and I'm teaching a couple of classes here in Bundy at the moment, just some ballet classes, and this girl is the most amazing dancer, and she's on a cruise ship, and she does 7 days a week, all these shows and stuff like that, and and how she came into class at the end of she went, oh my god, I thought I was fit because I'm doing doing all these shows every day. But she said my legs were wobbling when doing a développé because I have, because she hadn't done it because she's not doing it all the time. And she just realized, she said, "Oh my god, I really have to get back and do some stuff, and keep my strength because yes, you can train and just do the show you have to do every night, but then when it finishes, you're not going to have the technique to or the strength to be able to do on something else. When you go to audition." So that's probably the big thing is just being not. Like, don't make the mistake of thinking because you're in a show you don't have to keep working on what you're doing. Same with singing, if you as you know, Paul, if you don't sing, it's an instrument too that needs tuning all the time and strength. And if you don't sing for a while, and then you just can't go up and go, oh, I'm going to do this big performance if you haven't prepared for it.
Right, exactly. I think I learned that too very quickly, in Phantom, thinking that I had all of those top notes and stuff to sing, for those 5 years that I was in London. And, it was very quickly after about, I think, 8 weeks where I felt like, I don't know, I was getting sick, I was getting tired. And I realized actually it was my technique that was lacking because I should be able to sing when I'm tired. And it's 8 shows a week, kills you. Now they're doing 9 shows a week in some shows. Like you have got to be technically on point to be able to survive that. So, it's a non-stop thing. So I'm glad that you said that because it's something that, we always remind everyone of. All right, we've got time for a couple more questions. Jamison.
Hi, I'm Jamison. Nice to meet you. I'm originally from North Queensland, but now based in Melbourne. I think my question is a little bit more just audition focus and like mentality and everything. What's your advice to performers on how to handle rejection and from auditions?
That's a great question. Basically, it depends whether you have the opportunity. I know when I audition people, if people come up and ask me, where did I go wrong, or what could I do, that I would give them feedback, if you can. But sometimes you don't get that opportunity. I think basically you have to be. Well, sometimes you don't know what they're actually looking for, but sometimes you do. And I think that as long as you're prepared, as long as you're happy with what you did, and often oh my God, I didn't sing that well, or hit the wrong note, or in that combination, I missed that kick, or I missed that turn. But my advice is, no matter what goes wrong, I have a motto: make everyone else look wrong. I've done heaps of performances where I've lost the plot and don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I just keep on going and make it look like I know what I'm doing, and then everyone else is on stage going, "What the hell?" and they look like they're wrong, rather than me looking wrong. So, they say, "Make it till you make it." It's sort of like that, And the same thing is like, unfortunately, dance you can cover. Singing, if you sing the wrong note or the wrong words, or wrong words, you can keep on going. But if you miss notes and stuff, you really can't hide that. So you just have to, laugh it off, or and that humor is a good thing too. Like, oh, in the audition panel, if you know that you can hear it again, say, oh, can I have another go at that? That's something happened there. And so if you know that you're singing out of tune, it's people that don't know they're singing out of tune or know that they've missed a step. That's the hard thing. But so it's just be kind to yourself. If you can get feedback from somebody, that's great. But it's unfortunately dance or the theatre world is so hard because there's so many things that they're looking for, and I'm a bit harsh too, because I think really probably from the 80s, it became what I call McDonald's production, because before that, if there was, anything goes, or, any show, there was everyone that auditioned, or the characters got in, created their own roles. But now they want, you have to look like that person, you have to sound like that person, you have to dance like that person, you have to, everything has to be the same. And I know even when Cats was on, I remember when we did the publicity shots for the programs, they actually brought a program from London. They go, like, here's what they're doing, and I want you to do that jump. And you have to do identical to that's what they wanted. Identical to that. It's like, well, just use that photograph. No one knows any different, because with all the makeup on, you don't know who the hell it is. But every single role, everything in that program was identical. They didn't take photographs from our show and put it in the program. It had to actually be what was in every program, and they probably still do the same thing. Every program would be identical. If you got 10 productions, they'd all be the same. I don't know what that was like with you, Paulie, whether they did those things as well, whether everything had to be identical to the Phantom.
Well, yeah, we had to. Yes, it was. There's not much leeway when it comes to interpretation. That's for sure. But they also did let us, as principals, I think more than anything, give a twist on it. But when it comes to choreography, no, it was. It's royalty copyrighted material. It has to stay exactly the same way. No room for anything else.
And the trouble once in when I was doing the Cats, and I was a great turner, and I know in the show, I could turn like a little top, so I decided to whack off 3 or 4 turns. Like, no, it's the same turn, nothing more. Like, that's what they want, and that's what you get.
Exactly.
It's they don't want you to do any more or any less. That's the curry. That's what they want.
No, that's true. Jamo, I think what I'd like to just add on to that too is that one thing that we all have to remember, if we are fortunate enough to be able to get into a room, is that panel, out of all of the people, have asked you to be there because they want you to succeed. So if you do go there and you sing a bung note, or you do a bung move, or you're not feeling 100% that day, they are going to give you every opportunity to make that up. I've had clients going in recently for Guys and Dolls. And, this one client went in there, absolutely called me after, was like, that was the most terrible, because Kelly Abbey auditioned, the choreography is intense, it was very, very difficult. And she's not a dancer, went in there, she called me, she's like, that's absolutely terrible. I did the worst audition I've ever done. I'm so underprepared. I need to go to class. And then the next day we got a call and say, hey, we'd like to see her for Sarah Brown. So, you think, okay, well, that was a terrible audition for you, but that obviously that panel have seen something there and are willing to, give you a chance to make it up or, see the potential there like they did for me. I think about that all the time. That audition was terrible for me in Love Never Dies, but they saw something. So just need to go in there and give it your all, knowing that you have been chosen to be there out of all the rest that have been given a no. Really important stuff. Yeah.
And look,
Thank you
that thing,
so much.
they make a decision as soon as you walk in the door. Often before you sing and before you dance, they go, "Oh, they look great," and they look like the role, And as I said before, I've seen amazing and I know amazing dancers and singers that they won't employ if they're difficult. They just go, "Sorry, you just can't do it," because they're absolutely nightmares to work with. So if you can be a nice person, and even when I was teaching, I would say to my students, be nice, because if you're going to meet, it's the whole thing, you'll meet the same people as you're going up as you're coming down, and I've had people all over, students all over the world, when I've gone and visited them and stuff, the people, the directors or whatever, the shows that they're in, the government and go, oh my God, these, especially the boys and the girls, they're just so beautiful people, they're so well trained, but they're also really respectful, and that's the big thing, is if you can be nice and respectful and professional, that goes a long way.
Oh, for sure. Nathan?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, hi.
How are you going? I'm not going to ask if you remember me because you taught me tap and jazz about 30 years ago after the 1995 Music Theatre Summer School at QPAC.
I did. And I remember you very well because you weren't singing for a while. And
yes, this is true.
And I remember saying to you, excuse my French, what the fuck are you doing? Get up there and sing again. And you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just ask a question around, I noticed earlier you talked about, walking into an audition room in baggy pants, they're going to know you're hiding something. Is there, what would you say is the best kind of clothing to wear for the different sections of the audition? Should you be trying to stand out in any way when it comes to what you're wearing?
No, I don't think so. I think you just have to think of it as being professional, And look, if you're a non-dancer, I wouldn't be going in an tight all over, even though they wear them in the show, which some of them shouldn't do. But anyhow, that's another story. But as long as they can see your body, so as long as it's not baggy tracky pants, but you can buy, these days you can buy track pants that are fitted to your body, and and a tight fitting t-shirt. So they're not expecting you to be in a leotard, but so what audition? What role are you thinking of?
I'm actually not. I'm under contract during the.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
I know who you'd be perfect for, but anyhow, there we go. But so it's just looking the best that you can look, and even, and then this sounds weird, but it's not, because I've been on the panel before. But like some people literally look like they've got out of bed. They haven't actually ironed the shirt that they're wearing or the pants, and it's like, oh God, what the hell? And that sounds like it's old fashioned, but the people on the panel go, they're not being respectful to themselves or to the people on the panel. To turn up in things that don't look good, or is that's what they're looking for. It's attention to detail. But I do remember you, and you've got a beautiful voice. You did Pirates, and think after that.
Did, yeah.
See, there we go. I think Pirates. I think for a while.
Say that again.
I think we even worked together in Pirates for a while when they were doing remount when Schaefer came.
With Simon, yeah.
Yeah. Also, what's the 40
voice, Trev?
Pardon?
He's still got a beautiful voice.
He's got a beautiful voice, yeah.
Yep, stunning. Mate, thank you very much for that, hey?
Thank you.
And our last one, who would like to do the last question? Anyone specific, or I'll just choose them? Sam? Lauren? There you go.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see anyone. Oh, there we go. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, how
Hello.
you going, Trevor?
Good.
That's good. My question is a little bit out there, a little bit like left of center, but it's something that I have asked lots of people about, and it's very hard to get a straight answer. When you go into the audition room and it's just you in that room and the panel, where do you look? Do you look at the panel? Do you engage them a little bit? Do you look at the wall behind? Do you do a bit of everything? That's always something that I struggle with because I don't know whether to look at them or not.
Well, I mean, if it's just you by yourself, go up and introduce yourself, shake their hand, look at them straight in the eye.
Yes, no, I mean when you're like singing or you're
singing.
doing a scene.
Yeah, I would engage them. I don't look past them because that to me, that's just basically saying, "Oh, I'm blocking them out." But if you can engage with them and actually look at them, that's what I would be doing. Is because then you can feed off them and get about you, and you'll know they'll smile at you or whatever. But yeah, I would say don't look over them. Just my personal thing, because that's how they see your personality. So yeah, it's a great question because it is hard to know what to do. Because I've been on the panel too where someone's too much and a bit cheesy, almost laying on top of you. So there's a fight, or we at you and all that sort of stuff. But no, I would say, or if it's a scene that's on the stage and what I call a bubble, then probably keep yourself and not play to them. But certainly performing a song and stuff, I would actually perform straight to them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
That's a great question, actually. Yeah, really good. Thank you, darling. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Is there any pressing questions? I don't hear any messages in the chat. What we're going to do is, if you have anything that you would like to ask, please feel free to just write them there. I'll send a little message to Trevor after and he can get back to us and I'll get back to you guys directly. But I just want to say a massive thank you. Oh, actually, one last question. Sophia. I would love for you to meet Sophia. Let me just put her in the spotlight. There we go. One final question. Let's go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm based in Sydney. And I just wanted to ask you a bit about like the characterization when being a cat, but also like dancing. I would consider myself a dancer first. And when given like a piece of choreography, is there any like pointers you would give about like what they look for when you're dancing, how to really like be the cat? Yeah, just when you're performing a piece of choreography that they give you.
Great question. And because it's coming up to a point that I get frustrated with at the moment is that a lot of training that I see now is very much like, how hard can you hit it? How hard can you hit it?
Yeah.
And that choreo in the show is not like that at all. And so I see it when I'm auditioning people as well. They think if the harder I hit it, they're going to love me. But but coming back to the thing is not actually doing the choreography correctly. So what you have to do is find a flow, and this sounds a bit wanky, but you actually have to, again, think about it before you go and try things, whether it's just walking, whether it's a combination of your own and how you would relate it to a cat. But it's not it's not magic. You just can't go in there and go, oh my God, I can do it now. Because unless you've tried it, unless you've thought about it, it ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So so it's all about, with the cat, it's all about the body and the posture and little quirky things that a cat does, with the heads and stuff like that. So if you're a dancer, that's great. You've got the body. You should have the body control to be able to do that. But sometimes it's the simple things that are slow and precise that are going to give the attention. Not always flashy, but as I said, it's at the moment it drives me nuts because and again it comes back to that thing of like I just asked someone to put their hand up and it's a whack. It's like, well, that's not what I want, because it is that thing. Is like how many tricks can I put into the show? How many tricks can I put into so that people see it? But they will actually, this is one thing that leads me to that. They will ask you if you've got any tricks, like acrobatic sort of tricks, because there is a
Yeah, I
lot
was
of,
gonna ask you about that. Like,
yeah.
what's the
So
type of like, because you're a cat, but like, what's the type of acrobatic tricks they ask for? Because
yeah.
I do a lot of acrobatics, but I was just like
Oh no!
wondering.
If you're an acrobat, they'll love you because they love
Okay,
they do, and again they're saying probably the only one thing they would change in the show is that if you had a trick, they would put the trick in that you can
right,
do,
okay.
backflip or whatever. And look, be careful too. If you probably you probably do tricks, but I've seen them too. They go, "Oh, is anyone got any tricks?" It's like, "Yes, I can do a cartwheel." It's like, no, well, no, that's not. You know, that's not an aerial. Like we're
Yeah,
talking real. So if you've got the tricks and they'd love it. There's a couple of roles there that rely heavily on acrobatic sort of stuff. So, but have you got a classical technique as well?
yeah. I come
Oh,
from
great.
ballet background.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you got the both, and that's what I mean. It's you got to be and it's so hard, like because the two don't often go together. Like as you know, when you're training in ballet, you want it to be long and
Yeah,
lean, and then when you're training for acrobatics, it's going to be stocky and hard, and the two really don't mix. But you have, if you want to dance, you have to actually be able to do the both. And when I was teaching, especially when I was teaching kids, I'll go, the gym trainer would go, they got to give up ballet, they have to do more strength. And then the ballet teacher go, no, you got to give up gym because you're getting too much muscle. And so, I used to say, just do what you want, but you'll find the middle balance, but it's good to have tricks behind you as well.
that's
Oh,
great. Thank you so much.
thank
That's
you,
all right.
darling. That's lovely. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Claps for Trevor.
Yay. Meow.
Meow.
I'm still wearing the wig.
I love that hair, babe. Looks so good.
Yeah, it's getting long.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Since I've given up dancing, I can't afford to get a cart, you see.
Yeah, right. I love it too, by the way. It's so pretty.
One of my African numbers.
Love it. Thank
I
you
got
very
a dress
much, darling. It's
today.
been an absolute pleasure having you here.
And I'm not joking. Like this is it. This is just a phone call, but it's how you present yourself. And the same thing happens in audition. I could have been here with no shirt on and my budgie smugglers, which would have been not good.
It's so true, guys. I mean, we've taken a lot away from today. I think, it's really important. And, one thing that we do and we pride ourselves on here is to be able to have you hearing these things from industry professionals who have actually had careers, who have actually been working. And that is the goal, isn't it? We're here because you want to better yourself as an artist. You want to commit to your disciplines and you want to know exactly what kind of things are required for you in the audition room, in a professional theatre setting, a professional employment setting. So please go away, take these notes, remember everything that we've talked about today, and let's start to implement them into our everyday life so we can keep that, old school kind of tradition alive, within
Can
us.
I, can I just add one thing, Paulie? Is
Yep.
it's that thing about when you arrive at the audition as well, because if you arrive late or when I say late, just on time, that's to me late because you got to be there before, and you got bags everywhere, and haven't got your hair done, and they see that from the beginning, and they, as I said, I've seen it. The people that are taking the notes, they come back and go, "Oh my God, she was so disorganized. She didn't have her hair done. She couldn't find a leotard." La la. They actually take all those, and that sounds really weird, but they do because how you come to the audition is how you work. But if you come and you're organized and everything's ready and you're on time, you're well groomed and stuff, they'll say, oh, they're really well organized. And the same thing after, this drives me nuts, is after the performance, the amount of people that, and I know it's times have changed, but in my day, when we left stage door, we looked amazing. We dressed beautifully, make sure that so that when we went out and we met the audience, or they had an image that they were seeing. Now, often there'll be someone just in a t-shirt and a tracky dackies, and off they go. They don't present themselves So the whole illusion that they've just created on stage, and the people think they're going to meet something incredible when they don't. So, and that again, that sounds a bit old-fashioned, but I was brought up that way. With when JC Williams and stuff with Bocage, is that we had, as part of our contract, we had to wear a dress shirt and pants and shoes when we left the theatre. Just couldn't leave any way you wanted to, and unfortunately, I think that's gone a little bit to the wayside, which is not a good thing. Sometimes it's so and again, it's again preparing the show, but it's also how you're leaving the show. And,
for sure. God help me. I remember so many people, so many very important people I met at Stage Door that got me employed after the show. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. You always got to look good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's lovely. Trev, thank you very much.
That's alrighty. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and thank you all for joining. Hey, any questions? Just write me a message and I'll shoot them off to Trevor. But thanks again, Trev.
Sorry about the technical thing at the beginning, but
that's okay. No worries.
I'm old now.
You look fabulous, though.
Oh God, you should see it from this side. It's not good.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you all later.
See you later. Thanks,
all right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.